You? Is anybody?
There's Molly, folks. That means your friends, the Goldbergs, are here. Brought to you by Does, the new kind of soap for everything in your wash. First, let's drop in on the Dozen family. Uh-oh, Ma and Pa Dozen just arrived home from a party. Gosh, Pa's kind of annoyed.
Why'd you keep me waiting, Ma? I told you I wanted to go home. But you and that Mrs. Blodgett kept talking a mile a minute.
Well, Pa, she'd never heard of Does. I was telling her it's a new kind of soap, and it's wonderful.
Well, it seems to me you could have just said does everything in your wash. But nope, you got to take all night to go into how does rag rugs and towels and my overalls. Even your rayon doodads. And me wanting to start home.
But, Pa, you can't be rude to your hostess. She asked if Does would get the children's overalls clean. So naturally I said, sure, easy, no hard scrubbing. Well, you don't even need a bar soap anymore, I said, because Does gets dirt out all by itself.
Me waiting and waiting.
Land sakes, Pa, it only took a minute to tell Mrs. Blodgett how snowy white Does would get her towels. No soap gets them whiter, I says. Then I look around for you, and you're gone.
Just out in the kitchen with Mr. Blodgett to wait.
Well, I couldn't leave without telling her Does is safer for the nice colors she washes, like her pretty rayon slips and dresses. Was she surprised to hear Does helps colors stay bright longer, yet it can't be beat for getting out tough dirt. Then, Pa Does'em, I discover you playing pinochle with Mr. Blodgett.
Yes, Ma.
Then I had to wait a half hour for you.
Well, I'm not waiting for anybody to say, ladies, compared to other leading granulated wash day soaps, Does gives longer life to colors, plus unsurpassed whiteness and real cleaning power for getting the dirtiest clothes clean. Try Does, D-U-Z. It does everything in your wash. And now the Goldbergs. Suddenly, abruptly, overwhelmingly, the Goldbergs are faced with the one fact they didn't expect. Molly's daughter-in-law, Grace, is leaving. And outside, George is waiting with a car ready to take her away. For George is leaving, too. But somehow, with Grace's dramatic gesture when she tore up the check which Rosie had given her, Molly felt that all the suspicions had been wrong. Now, of course, we know they weren't. But at least we know also that with the tearing of the check, the whole point of Grace's plot has failed. Now, listen.
Jake, Rosie, you heard me. I'm repeating myself.
Ma.
Go outside and tell George to stop tootling the horn and to come inside into the house.
What do you want him for?
I want him.
Mama,
I
darling,
want him before Grace goes. She's upstairs. She's getting her bag. She's putting on her coat.
But I think
Go
you've been
outside, please.
But, Ma...
Grace? Grace, you're packed, you're packed. You're going? You're going. Masha just called me and told me George is also leaving.
Yes?
Yes. Where are you going?
George! George, I'll be out in a minute. You think George is leaving because I'm leaving. Now you can add this to your string of stories. We came together and we're leaving together. It all fits in, doesn't it?
Molly, why did you have to say that?
Why, Ma?
Call George.
For what? You're not a district attorney, Molly. Don't give yourself the privilege of the third degree. We have enough trouble.
Excuse me. It's only fair and just that George should know what we've been thinking and why. And
But,
what.
Molly.
Please, no buts and no Molly. Please, I want answers to questions. I have questions and I want answers.
Mama, darling.
George? It's important that you come into my house immediately, please.
Important.
Pa, please.
Don't please me.
Well, Mama's only
Only
trying
what? Putting oil on fire?
George? Come in. Sit down.
Thanks.
You're welcome. George, just recently I got a telephone call from Masha. She told me that you're also leaving.
Yes, that's right.
It's not our business. Why?
You've made my business your business. I couldn't stay in this town now with all the talk and gossip.
It was all a grave mistake.
Just a minute, Jake, before we say it was a mistake. There were questions, George, that we couldn't answer. There was questions we wanted to ask, and we didn't dare to ask you. There were questions that had to be answered.
Well, you should have asked them, but you didn't. You gave the questions your own kind of answers, and they were the wrong ones.
The 2 letters. I mean, yours and Grace's. They came on the same day, and they came from the same town.
Why, there must be 1,000,000 letters mailed from New York every day by people who don't know each other. Just because there were 2 letters from a small town didn't mean Grace and I knew each other. You wanted us to know each other because you didn't want Grace. You didn't like her in the beginning. You were looking for excuses.
But you were on the same train with Grace, George. And instead of getting off at Glastonbury, you got off at the station before. How did it look?
Well, if you weren't looking to see how it looked, you wouldn't have imagined it to mean that Grace and I knew each other. I had something to do in that other town, and I got off. I didn't even know Grace was on the train. Only people whose minds were crammed full of suspicions would have noticed it, invented it, and used it against me or against their own daughter-in-law.
But you were so concerned, George. So concerned. I only mean to say you weren't like a stranger to Grace. When, for instance, she got sick, you worried more than we worried, more even than her own people worried. You were besides yourself.
And does that mean that I was vicious and wicked and bad? Does my real concern for someone as helpless and unhappy as Grace, my interest or sympathy in people who aren't the fortunate or happy ones on earth, mean that I'm no good? And that Grace isn't any good? Oh, you all must have hated Grace a great deal to find even the simplest things an opportunity for suspecting her. I was just the innocent victim. I was thrown in as proof. Oh, gee, I'm glad to be leaving here.
Grace?
I'm ready, George. If you don't mind taking me to the station.
Grace.
Why are you leaving, George? Why don't you stay and live down the scandal?
Please,
Grace.
I don't blame you for leaving, George. Small towns and small minds.
Grace,
Grace.
just a minute.
Goodbye.
Grace. Grace, we don't want you to go. We're sorry. So we were wrong. Consider, Grace. Consider the circumstances. All right. No, so consider us and our small minds.
Grace, it was all our fault.
No, I can't stay.
Grace.
Maybe when Sammy comes back and our baby is born.
Grace.
Goodbye.
Grace, let us take you to the station at least.
Tell us where you're going.
No. Perhaps I'll write.
Let us at least help you.
No.
You tore up Rose's check, but we can get you another one.
Oh, no. I tore it up because I didn't want it. I couldn't want it on the terms you gave it to me, tied down with suspicions and wicked thoughts, where the money would have hurt us more than it would have helped my sister.
You'll miss your train.
Goodbye.
Let me take you back.
Let me.
Open the door, Rosalie.
Help me with this, George.
All right.
Grace. Grace, when you write to Sammy, please be kind. Don't turn Sammy against us. Living will make up for our mistakes.
Open the door.
Grace.
Grace, please. I want you to know what I did. My mistakes even. And they were mistakes. My mistakes came only from love. That I loved my son. Maybe my love was too blind. And I thought only of him and maybe not enough of you. But, all right, so I'm a mother. I wanted to protect Sammy. You have to understand that, Grace, because now you're going to be a mother. You'll know what that love is. The love you have for a child, Grace, is not like any other love in the whole world, darling. No, so forgive me. Not because what I did maybe was inexcusable, but because it's a fault that all mothers have. A mother's disease. Grace, it's worse than any sickness. The love they have for their children.
George.
Grace,
George, open the door.
Grace, consider
No,
maybe...
I'm not staying.
Come on, Grace.
Maybe consider, darling.
Please, Grace.
Grace,
No.
take the bag. Take Grace's coat. Come. Should have won. Open the door, Rosalie.
Grace.
Look out, Tawny. Go away from the chicken spot now in the middle of my critical crisis. Go away and lay down. Go.
Grace.
Look out, don't slip on the rock. Look out. Maybe there's time to walk to the station, Grace. You're gonna go in the car. There's no room in that car for us. We want to go to the station.
No, I don't want you to. This is goodbye, right here.
Grace,
If
please.
she doesn't want you to go, say goodbye and...
Grace, darling. Grace, So be careful with yourself.
All right, Grace. I'll open the door. That's it. Get in, Grace.
Goodbye. Don't worry about what I'll write to Sammy. I loved him too much to hurt him. Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye, Grace. Bye. Right, please. Right to us, Grace.
Right, let us know where you are.
Gee, Grace. You were wonderful.
You don't know how wonderful.
Now we'll start out on our own. We're clean of this thing. Oh, I know how they must feel, but even that's better than what we were intending to do. I knew everything would be all right when you tore up that check.
Don't be a fool. I tore up a piece of paper. Look, here's the check. George, darling, you don't think I'd tear up the check, do you?
So, the last move was with Grace. And now she's off, free. And she has her cake, too. Well, no one knows exactly what the future holds, but someone like that fluttery cousin Does'em consults the stars and her horoscope and then predicts.
I'll soon go on a short trip and meet a tall, dark man. Of course, I am going to the store to get some dust for dishes, and, well, who knows?
Well, there's a bright future for your dishes with Does. This new kind of soap does everything in the wash and has everything for dishes, too. Does makes suds that stand up till the last dish is done. Cuts grease like 60, yet it's kinder to hands. Kinder than any other leading granulated wash day soap. Why, Does suds stand up through stacks of dishes. No need to keep adding soap. And Does zips through grease without any hard scouring. Yet Does leaves your hands soft and smooth. Change to Does. It has everything for dishes. And when you Does dishes, remember soaps contain vital war materials, so don't waste Does. Measure it carefully into your dishpan. See to it every bit of Does you use does more. Be sure to listen to the next episode of The Goldbergs, written for you by Gertrude Berg. Grace meets the one hazard she didn't expect to have to face. This is Clayton Collier speaking and reminding you to do as the Does'ems do. Let Does, the new kind of soap, do everything in your wash.